Welcome back. We're working on our medallion piece that we made, and we're going to create a little wall hanging out of this. Now, I took some crumbs, as you can see, just little crummy pieces of some woven fabric that I had, and I just layered them on top of each other, and that's basically going to be my stem. So let's see if I can pin a couple of those in place until I can get them stitched down. I love creating from nothing, and when I call that nothing, I mean creating from these little scraps of fabric that we all have. I love making something beautiful out of them, or something just beautiful and useful. Everything's beautiful, right? We need to think that about our own work anyway. And just to see, what we can do with it, how we can use it. Okay, let's just stitch this down. We're just going to use some straight stitches. We're just going to get this stuff down so that it doesn't jump off of our background. It is going to ravel more, and that's okay. Enough of it will stay down that it will do what the job that it's supposed to do, and that's to be a stem for this flower. Okay. This woven fabric that I already had crumb pieces in my little container had a lot of different color variations, and I thought that was pretty cool because it went pretty well with my medallion. And who says the stem has to be green? Not in my flower. That's the way I encourage people to think. Think out of the box. Do it your way. You come up with some really things that you would never do if you just tried to do it traditionally. Okay, stems got to be green. Who says they got to be green? If I want them purple, or if I want them multicolored, that's what works. So get creative, get adventurous. A lot of times I'll think about, okay, I need a stem, and I'll go for something, and I'll think, oh, that's just too traditional. What do I want to do? And I just think, okay, what's the most unlikely thing I can use? And that's fun playing that way too, because sometimes it really works well. Other times, no, not so well, but it's fun. It's fun doing it. Find the most unlikeliest thing and find a way to use it. I showed you before that I have little crumbs and snippets in here of pieces. And so this is really low. I have 4 or 5 more of these containers, and because I don't throw anything away, and I'll grab one out and work out of it for a while, and as you see, I've gotten this one down pretty good, so I'm going to have to work at filling that one back up and grab another one, because it'll have different things in it, and so my pieces will start looking different, just because I grab a different container of crumbs and snippets. A lot of people say, well, I think what you do is more like fiber art than slow stitching. And I say, what's the difference? If I'm stitching it by hand, and then basically to me it's slow stitching. Doesn't matter if it comes out looking like fiber art or it comes out looking like a pot holder. It just, it doesn't matter. And I think the more you work with your crumbs and snippets, and the more you make odd things work for what you want, the closer you get to being able to work in the fiber art arena. And because fiber art is just interpreting an idea with fibers, textiles, and so forth. And so if you want to make a stem, or you want to make a landscape, or you want to make a flower, you just use the textiles as a medium. Like a painter uses paint, you use textiles. And as you do that, basically you're creating fiber art, but you're doing it while you're hand sewing, slow stitching. I do fiber art with a machine. For instance, my little medallion here, as I was put all my pieces on, I first tacked them, or not tacked them, but sewed them with my machine. You can see the wave stitch that I used there. And that got all the big pieces on here attached. And then I did some little bit of hand sewing in particular areas when I wanted to crumple something just a certain way. Okay. And then I hand sewed and couched the yarn that you saw in there. So a combination can be used. Okay, does that look like a stem to you? I promise you it'll be a stem. We put our piece like that. Now it looks like a stem, doesn't it? What does a stem need? A stem needs leaves. And I cut leaves out of the same fiber piece that was in my bucket. I think it has a dual side, so I have a choice as I'm deciding what to do here. I cut 3 leaves. I like to work in uneven numbers a lot of times. You can always put 2, but that looks very ordinary. If you make yourself work in uneven numbers, sometimes when you're embellishing, you'll end up with more interest. So again, it's dual-sided. I'm going to put that one out there. Now this one's got red I don't really like, so I'm going to flip to the brown side. And so we're going to have a set of 3 leaves. Now that looks better, doesn't it, than the 2? It's more pleasing to the eye. It's more compositionally correct in the sense that it balances our piece better, makes it more interesting. And sometimes uneven numbers is what it takes to do that. So I'm just going to pin these into place. Again, it's a very loose weave fabric, so it will ravel. I think I got that one backwards. Y'all didn't holler at me. I almost got that leaf on there backwards. There we go. That's much better, Linda. You know, as to the shape of it, as far as the pointy point being out. Okay, I want to do this that way. Thank you very much. Stay in place. Do you talk to your pieces like I do? I know you do. We have to talk to our pieces, otherwise they won't know what we want from them. When I write, I talk to my writing muse. That's that little fella that sits on your shoulder and tells you, you don't want to do that. Okay. I think I pulled my thread out of the needle. You know what? I'm going to leave that because I will be catching it as I sew other things, and that will anchor it down. And I won't have to try to re-thread that little piece there. Oh, I wish I didn't have allergies. It's an ongoing, always problem when you have allergies. And here in East Texas, we have lots of growth. And so I think I'm allergic to most of it. So some of you probably know what I'm talking about in your area of the world. Don't you wish you had an assistant sitting next to you that would thread all your needles for you? Would that be nice? I have at times taken the time to thread up several needles at once and just put them up there. And you know what? That really works. And I don't know why I don't do that more often, because it really works. And you can just grab a needle, grab a needle, grab a needle. Also, it helps you to, you can use the same thread, but I like to use all my bits and pieces that, that have left over from other projects. And that makes you vary out the colors that you're stitching with. Again, we're just straight stitching, nothing fancy. I leave all the fancy stitching to the beautiful embroidery artists that they have a stitch for everything, and they're just so good at it. And you know what? I don't have the patience for that. I've tried it. I can make beautiful stitches, but I don't have the patience for it. Every once in a while, I will pull on that I've learned to, if I need something very particular stitched on. But because I am such a scrappy person, I just don't enjoy doing that. But I love looking at it. I love watching them do it. And I love seeing how many different stitches there are out there. I've thought about making a stitch book like so many are doing on their embroidery and their videos, but I'm thinking, no, I would get bored really quick. So I'm not going to go there. Isn't it nice that we don't all have to do the same thing? Some people may not even try slow stitching or hand sewing because they think, or embroidery, because they think they have to be as good as those embroidery artists out there. But they don't. They can do it their way. And they can spend years learning. Those embroidery artists didn't learn to do that in one night, 1 month, 1 year. They've been sewing for years, and that's why they're so good at what they do. Like anything, it takes, you got to put work into it. Put the time into it. I quilted many years ago, I was into quilting quite a bit. And I thought I will never learn to do quilt stitching very well by hand. But you know, after years I did. And I was able to make those even little stitches that you like so much in a quilt. And it was fun. But I went from traditional quilting to art quilting. Then I went to fiber art. And now I'm into the slow stitch, hand stitching arena. And you know what? I love this one because anybody can do this. Anybody can pick up a needle and thread and straight stitch and just use scraps of fabric to create things. And that's one reason why I really like what I'm into now. Of course, I've been doing this for many decades. I'll tell you a little secret, but don't tell anybody. But I am, this year I turned 77. And so I've been stitching for many, 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 many years, one way or another. When I first picked up a needle, believe it or not, it was my father who encouraged me to do some embroidery. You know how years ago we used to get pillowcases and we would iron on that little pattern and then we would embroider it. And that was kind of what we did back then. There wasn't a whole lot of selection, so you kind of worked with what you had. But my father's mother, which I never knew because she died when I was an infant, she was, what I'm told, quite a needle lady. And she taught, she had several children, but she taught them how to embroider, and including her sons. She made them learn. And I kind of followed that suit, but I didn't make my son learn embroidery, but I did make him learn how to sew on a button or sew up a ripped seam. I think every man needs to know to do that because you don't always have a mother and a wife or a girlfriend that can do it for you. So anyway, it was my father who first, you might say, put the needle in my hand. I was very, very little, very young. And then it really interested me, so I began to pay attention. My mother was not a needle person. She didn't like sewing or handwork. My mom was an outdoor person. She liked to go outside and build something with wood, or work in the garden, or things like that. So I began to pay attention when I was little, and we would visit my aunts or my grandmother. Most of them were needle ladies. And so I would pick up little things from there. And then, you know, just went on like that. Curiosity is helpful. If you're curious about how to do something, that'll help you get into it. And then it's a matter of finding the medium that you like. What kind of textiles do you like to work with? And in what way do you like to knit more than anything else? Crochet more than anything else? Slow stitch more than anything else? Whatever it is you like to do. How did you first become interested? Who was the person that introduced you to needlework, handwork? Let us know in the comments. What do you think? I'm loving it. Okay. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I just really love that. I love it, love it. It's going to make a nice wall hanging. Now I'm going to make sure that I catch this loose thread from before. And we've got that secured. How cute is that? I'm loving it. Don't be surprised. I really do love my own work. And I think we all should be proud of what we do and love it. That keeps us working. Oh, I like it, I like it. Let's pin it down. Enough to keep it in place. Oh, the head broke off of that one. It's fun to have one of these medallions already made up. Like I said, that's a nice project to sit around and do when you're not working on anything particular, and just stash it away until you get ready to do something, and you'll have a medallion ready to go. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, we're going to hold it there, and next time we'll be stitching this on. And I'm thinking about putting something in the background. Just for interest, I think I may throw a little something out here. I don't know. We'll leave that for next time to figure out. Okay. Okay. Till next time. Keep stitching.